Hi there, my name's Andrew Dunn. I'm co-host of the Media Lunch Break podcast. This week on the podcast, we're talking about a movie called Masked and Anonymous, which was written by and stars Bob Dylan. I thought it'd be a nice companion video to talk a little bit about my favorite Bob Dylan lyrics. What gives me the authority to decide which Bob Dylan lyrics are better than other Bob Dylan lyrics, you ask? What are my credentials? I don't have any. I did collect Bob Dylan CDs when I was in high school, instead of having sex. I've been a fan of his since I was in the 5th grade. I've seen him perform live 3 times. I've got a framed photo of him around here somewhere. I've got maybe 8 books about him. And believe it or not, I've even read some of them. So I started writing them all down and putting them in order, and honestly, it got a little out of control. In advance, I am so sorry about this. This video is made for nobody. I don't know who's gonna watch this. I don't know who cares about this, but I guess I'm doing it. So without further ado, here are the 101 best Bob Dylan lyrics. All right, let's do this. Number 101. They say the darkest hour is right before the dawn, but you wouldn't know it by me. Every day's been darkness since you've been gone. This is from the song Meet Me in the Morning. It's fine. I like it. I like the lyric. I think it's cute. I think it's fun, but it doesn't really say a lot. It doesn't really have a hidden meaning at all, it seems. It's pretty blatant, so that's why it's at the very bottom. But I like it still. Number 100. Broken dishes, broken parts, streets are filled with broken hearts. Broken words never meant to be spoken. Everything is broken. That's from the song Everything is Broken. I first heard that song on the Essential Bob Dylan, which was one of the first albums I ever got of his. It was just sort of an introduction to his music. I really like that song. It is kind of surface level. Again, there isn't a whole lot of hidden meaning. That's why it's at the back, but I do enjoy this song, and I like that line a lot. Number 99. I was feeling kind of lonesome and blue. I needed somebody to talk to, so I called up the operator of time just to hear a voice of some kind. When you hear the beep, it will be 3 o'clock. She said that for over an hour, and I hung up. I love that line. It's from the song Talkin' World War III Blues, and it implies that the operator's just going on a loop. The song, if you haven't heard it, is about a dream that Bob Dylan has had that has shocked him so much that he's going to talk to a therapist about it. And the dream is that he woke up one day to find that World War II had happened, and he now lives in a post-apocalyptic New York City. It's a great song. You should check it out. Number 98. She was born in the spring, but I was born too late. Blame it on a simple twist of fate. That's from the song Simple Twist of Fate, another one that I love very much. I actually sort of slept on this song until I heard Diana Krall sing it, and I love her version of it. I like this line because it clearly has a meaning of some kind. I'm not super sure what it is. She was born in the spring. I was born too late. Whatever it is, it's something that made it so that they couldn't work, and so he's blaming it on a simple twist of fate, which it is. Number 97. I do not feel that good when I see the heartbreaks you embrace. If I was a master thief, perhaps I'd rob them. That line is from the song Positively 4th Street, which, my God, if you haven't heard it, that song is one of the most savage songs I've ever heard in my life. Just 3 minutes of a guy tearing someone else apart verbally. It's incredible. But this lyric in particular is a moment of sympathy, of mercy. He spent the song tearing this person a new one, and then he says, you know what? I don't like that you feel the way you feel. I don't like that you feel bad. If I was a better thief than I am now, if I was a master thief, I'd steal it from you. And it's stealing because the person likes feeling that way, because it means that they can take their shit out on other people. I don't know. I really like this lyric. I like the song. We'll talk about another one that's kind of similar to it. You might already have it in your mind. It might be one that you're waiting for because it's probably going to show up in here more than once. That is sort of similar in that it is also sort of pointing fingers at someone else and sort of talking shit about another person. But we'll get to that. Number 96. Following some clues in my detective bag, I discovered red stripes on the American flag. Betsy Ross. That's from John Birch Paranoid Blues. I absolutely adore this song. It is about the Red Scare, where everybody was super scared that the communists were coming over, and people started getting blacklisted. There are famous stories about people who they lost their job, they lost their family, they lost their mortgage, they lost the deed on their car. They couldn't work because they were blacklisted because people thought they were communists. And the whole point of this song is that this character that Bob Dylan is playing in the song is hyper paranoid about searching for communists. He's gonna find those commies and they're the worst. And there's even a part in the song where he sneaks up on one. He says, hey, he has a gun, and he sneaks up on him. He says, hands up, you communists, because he was trying to sneak into his house, he thinks. And then it turns out it's just the mailman. He's trying to put mail in his mailbox. stuff like that. It's beautiful. But this lyric in particular, this is what it means. And it's a live performance, this song. I think it's the only actual recording. I don't think there was a studio recording. If there is, I haven't heard it. You can hear the audience throughout it, laughing, sort of giggling. And at this point, he says, I discovered red stripes on the American flag. What Bob Dylan is doing there is pointing out that the US has communist tendencies. And not only like actual communist tendencies, like we do have social programs, but also what the US government was accusing communists of. Fascism, corruption, nepotism. These are all baked into our political system. And when he says that line, you can hear the audience start to murmur to themselves. Throughout the song, you've heard them giggle and laugh. It's all fun and games. But as soon as he starts accusing the US government of that, everybody gets very serious very quickly. And so what does he do? He lightens it up with a joke. He says, Betsy Ross, implying that the woman who made the flag is a communist. And then everybody gives a big laugh. Now it's okay. He broke the tension. It's very funny. Also very serious. I really like this song. Give it a listen. Number 95. Dr. Filth, he keeps his world inside of a leather cup, but all his sexless patients, they're trying to blow it up. Honestly, the only reason I like this lyric is because it reminds me of Dr. Phil. It sounds like he's talking about Dr. Phil. It sounds like he's saying like, don't listen to this guy. He's a fucking fraud. And his name is Dr. Filth. But the song was released when Dr. Phil was 15 years old. I mean, I don't know his biography or anything, but I'm guessing he wasn't a doctor at 15. Anyway, I like that lyric. That lyric is from the song Desolation Row, by the way. Good song. Number 94. Liberty is just equality in school. This lyric is from the song My Back Pages. I like this line. It sounds nice. I don't think I agree with it, and I don't even really fully understand what it means. That's why it's so low on this list. So does this lyric mean that like liberty when fully formed becomes equality because it's just like a little kid in school? Or does it mean that when you have equality in school, you have liberty because liberty is equality in school? I have no fucking clue what this means, but I like it. It sounds nice. Number 93. Without freedom of speech, I might be in the swamp. This is from a song called Motor Psycho Nightmare, which is a really interesting ballad. It's a story song. He's telling a story about this guy who maybe is a doctor. He says he's a doctor. He also says he was born at the bottom of a wishing well. But he's lost. He's traveling. He's on foot. He's in the middle of nowhere. He finds himself on the doorstep of this farmer. And the farmer says, all right, I guess you can stay with me on two conditions. One is that you milk the cows in the morning, as the other is you don't touch my daughter, who's a fully grown, beautiful woman. And there's a lot of references to famous movies in this song. La Dolce Vita is one. Psycho is definitely one of them. It's a fun song, and the crux of the story is when the daughter comes down the stairs and says, hey, do you want to take a shower with me? And he doesn't know what to say because he doesn't want to offend her, but he also knows that if the father catches him, he's gonna fucking shoot him. So he decides he's got to be chased out by the dad. It's the only solution. So he yells, I like Fidel Castro and his beard. It's great. It's so good. But the idea is that he ends up chasing him down the road with a shotgun because he's so upset that this guy he just met today likes Fidel Castro. And the last line of the song is, without freedom of speech, I might be in the swamp. I disagree with him because I would argue that without his ability to run faster than a man with a shotgun, he'd be in the swamp. But, you know, freedom of speech is good. Number 92. When I was leaving the bay, I saw 3 ships a-sailing, and they were all heading my way. I asked the captain what his name was and how come he didn't drive a truck. He said, my name is Columbus, and I just said, good luck. This lyric is from what I think is probably my favorite Bob Dylan song. It's not necessarily the one with the best lyrics, but I think it's my favorite one. It's one of the first ones I ever heard. It's a song about Bob Dylan coming over on the Mayflower with a bunch of sailors and discovering the United States of America. But as it is today, it's super weird. But like essentially he starts to experience all of the worst parts about being a United States citizen and all the horrible things you have to deal with and is like, fuck this, I'm out of here. But on his way out, he passes a group of ships coming in. It's Christopher Columbus. And Bob Dylan's like, good luck, man, you're on your own. Number 91. They say, sing while you slave, but I just get bored. It's from the song Maggie's Farm. Great song. Famously just... I mean, it's the song that, like, nearly ended his career because he sang it electric at a folk festival and people lost their goddamn minds. People were different back then, man. If you plugged in an electric guitar at a folk festival, people would try to kill you with an axe. But I like that line because it's a little bit like someone telling you, like, hey, why don't you think of the positives? And you're like, fuck you. Number 90. Everybody is making love, or else expecting rain. This line is also from Desolation Row. We heard a lyric from Desolation Row a little bit back. We're probably going to hear a few more in this list. I really like this song. It's really long. It tells a lot of stories about a lot of different people. And this line in particular kind of sums up a specific experience that a lot of people feel. Sort of a feast or famine kind of thing. Like you're either in it or you're sad. Highs and lows, you know? It's a hell of a thing. This Bob Dylan guy's a good lyric writer. I think he's going to go far. Number 89. You know I love you, and furthermore, when it's time to go, you got an open door. It's from the song Silvio. It's a fun song. I don't know. It's not one of his like most lyrically powerful, but it's fast, it's upbeat, it's happy. It's very different from a lot of his other stuff. And this line specifically, I don't know what it is, man. It feels so good to say, I love you, but if you want to leave, there's the door. There's something that feels so good about that, right? Like, there's an exchange of power that's happening here and an insane juxtaposition from one end of the spectrum to the other. I love you, but when it's time to go, you got an open door. There's the door. Don't let it hit you on the way out. I don't know. There's something very vulnerable and powerful at it at the same time, which is something that I've always been drawn to, sort of power through vulnerability. Number 88. Something is happening here, but you don't know what it is. Do you, Mr. Jones? This is from the song Ballad of a Thin Man, and holy hell, what a song. My God. I mean, it's clearly inspired by some sort of drug concoction, but it also is peak trying to figure out what the hell Bob Dylan is talking about. Bob Dylan has gone on record multiple times to say that his lyrics don't have meaning. Obviously, that's not true. Some of his lyrics have very clear and obvious meanings. Look at something like Positively 4th Street, which is literally just lines like, you got a lot of nerve to say you're my friend. That has a meaning behind it. Even if it's not based on like a specific circumstance, everyone has had the ability to relate to that song at one point or another in their lives. I think the song Ballad of a Thin Man is really no different than that. But obviously every aspect of this song sprang from his subconscious in some way or another, so they were inspired by something. And the fact that the character in the chorus repeated over and over again is named Jones is not lost on me. Number 87. I need a dump truck, mama, to unload my head. Oh man, this one's from a Buick 6. I think it's the only lyric from that song on this list, but man, that's another fun song. It's a little bluesier, a little upbeat too, fast-paced, a good tempo, but I love that line. Like, my head is so full of absolute garbage. It's so full of stuff just like whirling around in there. I need a dump truck to unload all of it. I don't know, I really like that metaphor. And also using something sort of like industrial and dirty, like a dump truck. It's made for like heavy construction work. I just think there's some great imagery in that. Number 86. I wish I could write you a melody so plain that could hold you, dear lady, from going insane. That's from the song Tombstone Blues. That's another one that is wild. It fires out like a fucking bat out of hell. And I personally can really relate to this lyric. I've known a lot of people in my life who I wish I could just write them a song that would keep them from losing their minds. But I'm told that's not how therapy works. Number 85. Businessmen, they drink my wine. Plowmen dig my earth. None of them along the line know what any of it is worth. You might have known that's from the song All Along the Watchtower, which is a fantastic song. It's so good Jimi Hendrix covered it, and fucking just, I can't think of a word that means good. I was going to say wrecked it, demolished it, destroyed it. I mean all those in a good way. Man, he just, chef's kiss. A lot of people don't like it when Dylan's songs get covered. I think Dylan's songs were made to be covered, right? Like, he's a songwriter. He's not really the best singer or guitarist. Jimi Hendrix is much better at both of those things. But this lyric is another lyric that I think everyone can relate to. Businessmen, they drink my wine. Plowmen dig my earth. I mean, I've definitely worked for a lot of businessmen and plowmen, as they're named in this, who have taken advantage of my work or my time or my... It's just... It is so easy to be taken advantage of. And that's what this lyric is about. Like, they're taking the product that you are creating and they're not giving you back what it's worth. Welcome to employment in the United States, am I right? Number 84. Sarah, Sarah, so easy to look at, so hard to define. It's from the song Sarah, you might have guessed. I really like that lyric just because it has a nice juxtaposition to it. There's an antithesis to it in the same sentence. So easy to look at, implying that she's beautiful. So hard to define, implying that she's an enigma. Number 83. There's no success like failure, and a failure's no success at all. That's from the song Love Minus Zero. I just really like that because there's no success like failure implies that failure is a success, and then a failure's no success at all implies that it isn't. It's just another juxtaposition that I really like. Number 82. I got a friend who spends his life stabbing my picture with a Bowie knife. Dreams of strangling me with a scarf. When my name comes up, he pretends to barf. I've got a million friends. It's from I Shall Be Free, number 10. I just really like that line. I got a million people who are like this, and they're my friends. Number 81. A childish dream is a deathless need, and a noble truth is a sacred creed. It's from the song Tweedledee and Tweedledum. I think it's sort of a lesser-known song, or at least underappreciated. It was in the movie Bandits, which I only know because my sister's band also had a song in that movie. Wild, right? But it's a pretty good song. It's from the album Love and Theft, which is mostly bad, but I really like that one song, and that lyric in particular is pretty good. I'm not super sure what it means. It's kind of like the rest of the album in that it probably doesn't really mean anything. Like, a lot of these lyrics feel like, that sounds cool, I guess. But I do like it. A childish dream is a deathless need. It doesn't really mean anything, though, does it? But it sounds really cool. Number 80. The man in me will hide sometimes to keep from being seen. But that's just because he doesn't want to turn into some machine. That's from the song The Man in Me, which actually was made famous in the movie The Big Lebowski. It's a beautiful song about finding the person who makes you you. It's one of Bob Dylan's few, like, truly optimistic and happy songs. He doesn't write a lot of those, but this one's pretty chipper. It's pretty nice. It makes me feel good when I listen to it, and I like that lyric. I'm a pretty big introvert, so to hear my favorite musician say that he hides sometimes to keep from being seen just so he won't turn into some machine, I relate to that on a fucking existential level. Number 79. People tell me it's a sin to know and feel too much within. That lyric is from A Simple Twist of Fate, and I just love it. I remember when I was in graduate school, a professor told me this allegory about a garden and about society and about how you have a garden, you have flowers. Let's say you're a flower in a garden, and you have three options. You can be exactly the same as everybody else. You can be the same height, you can be the same color, you can flourish and just look great alongside everyone else. Or you don't have to grow as much. You can be too short, and then you don't get the water you need because the other plants are getting it above it. You don't get the sunlight you need because the flowers above you are blocking it. You're going to wither and die. Or you can really flourish and you can grow and grow and grow. And what's going to happen? The gardener, society, is going to come around and just snip you right off. Because if you don't assimilate, if you don't fit in, you're not going to make it. And that's what I think this lyric is trying to say. People tell me, society's telling me it's a sin to know and feel too much. Fuck, dude. Number 78. Now all the criminals in their coats and their ties are free to drink martinis and watch the sunrise, while Reuben sits like Buddha in a 10-foot cell, an innocent man in a living hell. It's from a song called The Hurricane. I remember the first time I heard this song, it was in the Essential Bob Dylan album. It was like the second Bob Dylan album I ever got. The first one was Burned. It was like just like a concoction of like B-list Bob Dylan songs that no one had ever heard before that a teacher gave me. And yeah, this song, I remember the first time I heard it, and I was like, wow, this is a crazy song. Good thing it's not real. Can you imagine if this really happened? Oh man, how amazed was I when I found out there was a movie about Reuben the Hurricane Carter. I still haven't seen it, admittedly. I bought it, I own it, owned it for like 15 years. I've never seen it. God, I gotta do that. But Reuben the Hurricane Carter was a boxer who lived in Paterson, New Jersey. Maybe he didn't live there. This took place in Paterson, New Jersey. There was a murder in a bar, I think, or something, and some guy was like basically threatened by the police into saying it was this boxer, Reuben the Hurricane Carter. And because there was this eyewitness, Reuben the Hurricane Carter went to fucking jail. And it was basically Bob Dylan and him spreading the news of this horrible thing and meeting with Reuben and talking to him about what actually happened that ended up getting him released. Because they found out, no, he didn't do it. Why would he murder some rando in a bar? He was like a millionaire boxer. But yeah, this song obviously was written before he got released. So the end of the song is him talking about how like the criminals are out there. Like everyone knows the criminals are still out there. And this guy who did nothing wrong, he's basically a mouse. I mean, he's a boxer, so like, I guess you don't want to get on his bad side. But one of the things Dylan talked about a lot is how calm and nice and tranquil this guy was. How absurd it was that people would think that he murdered somebody. And he's in a fucking cell. Well, anyway, racism is dead, so We've done it, everyone. Civil rights movement is over. There's no racism anymore, so we can move on. I'm being facetious, I promise. I don't actually believe that. Number 77. The highway is for gamblers. Better use your sense. Take what you have gathered from coincidence. It's from one of my all-time favorite Bob Dylan songs, It's All Over Now, Baby Blue. This song is just absolutely full of incredible metaphorical lyrics. This is no exception. It's probably the weakest one on my list from this song, but man, it's still good. The highway is for gamblers, man. I mean, figuratively. Like life, if you want to take the fast lane in life, it's hard fucking work and you're gonna lose a lot. You better use your sense if you're gonna do that, and you gotta take what you've learned from coincidence. Which, oh man, it's so true. Number 76. We live by the golden rule. Whoever got the gold rules. That's from the song Gonna Change My Way of Thinking. He sings this with Mavis Staples, who you may know if you are a Hozier fan, because she sings on the track Nina Cried Power. She's an incredible vocalist. The song's pretty good. It's more of a religious song when he was doing that for a little while. But I like this line. It's true, and it reminds me quite a bit of Aladdin. I believe there's a line in there from Jafar. I think whoever has the gold makes the rules.
Whoever has the gold makes the rules.
I wonder if they got that line from Bob Dylan. Number 75. It may be the devil or it may be the Lord, but you're gonna have to serve somebody. This is from the song Gotta Serve Somebody, another of his religious songs. I'm not a huge fan of this one, but I like the message. It's just listing off different types of people, landlords. You might have to serve a doctor. You might have to serve this. You might be a lawyer. You might be a politician. You might be a heavyweight champion. You might be this or that. And he even says, like, talks about himself a little bit. And, you know, you can call me Ray. You can call me Zimmy, I think he says at one point, which is about his name. It used to be Robert Zimmerman, and he changed it to Bob Dylan. But yeah, it's an interesting song. It's an interesting, that one line, it may be the devil, it may be the Lord, but you're going to have to serve somebody. That's kind of the chorus. It's the piece that gets repeated a lot throughout the song. It's the main point. You're gonna have to serve somebody. And man, I've served a lot of people in my life already. Number 74. I can't even remember what it was I came here to get away from. It's from the song Not Dark Yet. Honestly, this song kind of puts me to sleep most of the time. I can't listen to it while I'm driving at night or I will crash and die. But I like this song. I relate to this every now and then. I'll think about that. I'll be like, why am I here? What am I doing? Why did I come here? What is this? What am I running from? I didn't come here for anything that's here. So what am I trying to escape from? And I just feel it when he says that too. I feel like he could be saying that about celebrity, about fame. I don't even remember what it was I came here to get away from. It's just a cool line. Number 73. I wish that for just one time you could stand inside my shoes. You'd know what a drag it is to see you. This is another one from the song Positively 4th Street, and it is just such a good example of the savage teardowns that he does throughout this. Because it's like, it's almost relatable. It's almost empathetic. I wish you could stand inside my shoes. And he could say, like, you'd know what it's like when you do the things to me that make me hate you. But instead what he says is, you'd know what a drag it is to see you. If you could be me for a minute, you'd know how much I hate you. Just a great line. It's brutal. Number 72. I was born here and I'll die here against my will. It's another one from Not Dark Yet. Again, the song that puts me to sleep. I like that line. It's sort of the antithesis of the other line from Not Dark Yet, which is, I can't even remember what I came here to get away from. This is saying, I was born here and I'll die here against my will. So he's saying, like, I didn't even leave from anywhere. You'll find this a lot in Bob Dylan's music, where he says one thing and then he immediately says something right after it that totally discounts the thing before it and can't be true if the thing before it is true. He does a lot of that. But this lyric as well, it makes me relate a lot to people I know who were born somewhere in, you know, the Midwest, wherever that is. You know, the parts in between New York and LA that aren't Chicago. I guess Chicago is in the Midwest, but you know what I mean? Like, podunk America, and they have no means of ever getting out of there or trying their hand at making a difference in the world or being something incredible. They're just gonna live the rest of their life in a cornfield and then die one day. Anyway, it's a really happy song. I was just thinking about it. The chorus is, it's not dark yet, but it's getting there. Number 71. Don't ask me nothing about nothing. I just might tell you the truth. This is from Outlaw Blues. I really like this song. It's another fast one. It's got a lot of pep in its step. I like this line because it's like, yeah, no, don't ask me if you don't want an answer. Like, if there's one specific answer you're looking for, you're not going to get it. So don't ask me. I've known a lot of people who ask me questions and I have to ask back, do you want me to be honest or do you want me to say what you want me to say? It's one of those things like, you know, if you have any friends in theater and you go to see them in a show and they're like, oh, what'd you think? And you're like, great. Oof, it's like that. It's the worst. Number 70. She violently knits a bald wig for Jack the Ripper, who sits at the head of the Chamber of Commerce. My God, what a lyric. For starters, a bald wig is an oxymoron, right? Like, it's a bald cap. A wig is hair. So a bald wig is nothing, right? She's violently knitting. That's another thing. Not aggressively knitting, violently. She's hurting people while she's knitting this thing. Oh, and by the way, Jack the Ripper sits on the head of the Chamber of Commerce. That's an accusation if I've ever heard one. It's wild, dude. He's just like throwing shade everywhere in this. Number 69. Nice. Sometimes my burden is more than I can bear. It's not dark yet, but it's getting there. We talked about this chorus a little bit earlier, but not dark yet, but it's getting there. This is from the song Not Dark Yet, in case you didn't guess. And yeah, man, sometimes my burden is more than I can bear. And yeah, I think this is another line that is super relatable. I mean, that's why it's the chorus of this song. It's not dark yet. Don't worry about it. I'm still here. But the sun's getting real low, big guy. Number 68. When you think that you've lost everything, you find out you can always lose a little more. This is from the song Trying to Get to Heaven, and it's sort of the antithesis of what we were just talking about, that it's not dark yet, but it's getting there. It's a sad line, but it's also very optimistic. When you think you have nothing else to lose, that's not true. You know, you've always got a little, there's always something worse that could happen. Again, it sounds horrible, but you feel like you're at the end of your rope. You're not. It is both cynical and optimistic at the same time. It's the reason it's on this list. It's an incredible line. Number 67. Last night I danced with a stranger, but she just reminded me you were the one. This is from Standing in the Doorway, which is one of Bob Dylan's saddest songs. If you're going through a breakup and you need to hear something that's going to like wrench your heart and make you feel like, yes, this is what I'm feeling, put on that one. It's fucking brutal. The chorus is, you left me standing in the doorway crying. It's, man, I definitely put this on repeat for a couple of months in my life. It's real sad. But that line, I feel like we get, right? Like, it's about a rebound, right? Last night I danced, I'm gonna put that in quotes, with a stranger, but she just reminded me that you were the one. Oh, it's so sad. Reminds me a little bit of a Randy Newman lyric from the song Every Time It Rains, where Randy Newman says something like, even if I move on, I find somebody else, it won't be you. Sad, man. Sad. Bob Dylan makes a lot of sad songs. Number 66. I've been sitting down studying the art of love. I think it'll fit me like a glove. I want some real good woman to do just what I say. This is from the song Thunder on the Mountain. This song was sort of a surprise hit for Dylan at the time. He had released a bunch of pretty mediocre albums right before this, and then out of nowhere, boom, Modern Times comes out. First song on the album is Thunder on the Mountain, and it's like a gunshot going off when it starts. It's really pleasant to listen to. It's got a good rhythm. It's got a good beat. Man, Dylan has always been able to pick really good musicians, and this album is no exception. This lyric in particular is kind of a funny one because he's like, I've been studying love. I get it now. And now that I understand it, I want a woman who's going to do whatever I say. And it's like, all this studying you've done, you don't understand a single fucking thing about it, do you? Great line. I just really like it. Number 65. They'll kill him with self-confidence after poisoning him with words. This is another line from Desolation Row. Man, that song also is brutal. We're going to get to the opening line of that song in another video. I mean, I guess you can listen to it now and find out what it is, but the song itself is just, it's hard to listen to because it can be very graphic at times. And this lyric is no exception to that. They'll kill him with self-confidence after poisoning him with words. So they poison him with words. They're probably being very vocally and verbally abusive, and they're going to kill him with self-confidence after that. It's wild, man. I'm not even super sure what this means, but I like it. Number 64. Hi, this is Andrew from the future. That's why I look different. I'm editing this now, and I just realized I skipped one, so here it is. Friends and other strangers from their fates try to resign, leaving men wholly, totally free to do anything they wish to do, but die. This is a lyric from the song Gates of Eden. There's a lot of very rich rhetoric in this song that I really appreciate. And this lyric is no exception. It brings up a very interesting point, which is Eden truly a utopia if you're free to do anything you wish but die. We have the word euthanasia for a reason, you know, because under some circumstances, it may be more beneficial, ideal, preferable for you to end your life than to keep going. Nobody can make that decision for you except for you. But if you aren't free to make that decision, are you free? Just something to think about. Number 63. All right, now back to the old me. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I was all right till I fell in love with you. So this is the chorus from the song Till I Fell in Love with You, which is another hard one to listen to, man. It's another good one for a breakup if you're going through a bit of a heartbreak. But it really is like, it's another one of those lyrics that is cynical and optimistic, where I was all right, I was fine until I fell in love with you. And there's something about high highs and low lows that stands out to me in this lyric. About when I fell in love with you, I was on top of the world. I was the highest of high, and when you broke up with me, I was the lowest of lows. And that really comes across in this line. Number 62. Well, my house is on fire, burning to the sky. I thought it would rain, but the clouds passed by. This is another one from Till I Fell in Love with You, and it's hard to listen to, man. It's a hard one. It's, you know, everyone feels that way, I think, at some point or another. Like, my house is on fire, and oh look, it's gonna rain. It's gonna put out the oh no, it's leaving. Oh, nope, missed us. Oh well. And I really do I relate to that. I'm sure most people do. And man, I love that. And it can also feel that way about trouble in your relationship, which is what I think this is about. That he felt like his house was on fire. It's probably a big fight that he had. Or maybe she said she needed some time. And he thought the clouds were gonna come and put out the fire with the rain. But instead, the clouds passed by, and so did the woman. Or man. I don't know your life. Number 61. How many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? This one's from Blowin' in the Wind, one of Bob Dylan's most famous songs. And yeah, I mean, I can relate to that. Like, how many people do you know who have, like, stared in the face of something and still not seen it or not understand it? Or, like, you feel like you've explained something to someone over and over and over again and they never get it. And it's like, how many times do I have to say this before you fucking understand what I'm saying? Number 60. I was so much older then. I'm younger than that now. This is from the song My Back Pages, and the song itself is pretty good, but I love this line. It's such a good line, and it's the line that repeats throughout the song. I've just always kind of felt like this. Anyone who's ever felt like an old soul, it does sort of feel like you age down. You're sort of Benjamin Buttoning yourself. Like, I don't know, I was raised to be very mature, even in like high school. People who would come into my high school would often ask me what I taught. And yeah, as I got older, like I started learning how to let loose and party a little bit, you know? I felt like I was so much older then, but I'm younger than that now. Number 59. I ain't saying you treated me unkind. You could have done better, but I don't mind. You just kind of wasted my precious time. I love this line. This is from Don't Think Twice, It's All Right, and it is another one of his lines that sort of contradicts itself. In the beginning of it, he's saying, I'm not saying you treated me unkind. And at the end, he's saying, you just wasted my precious time. It's another good breakup song. It's another kind of sad song, but I like this one a lot. It's easygoing. It's easy to listen to. It's heartbreaking if you actually pay attention to the lyrics, but it's a good time. Number 58. The vagabond who's rapping at your door is standing in the clothes that you once wore. This is another one from It's All Over Now, Baby Blue, one of my absolute favorite songs. This is clearly a line about change, about adaptation, maturing, evolution. It's either about becoming a vagabond or going from being a vagabond to being something else. The vagabond who's knocking at your door is wearing clothes that you once wore, which leads me to believe that it is either the vagabond you used to be because he's wearing the clothes you used to wear, or it's a version of you that lost everything and so all you have to wear is clothes you used to wear. Or maybe it's like a guy who just like went to the thrift store and bought your hand-me-downs. I don't know. Maybe you left your wallet in it, or, you know, I don't know, a letter that has your address, and he went to the address to be like, hey, this looks important. Could be that, if it's literal. Number 57. I decided to flip a coin like either heads or tails to let me know if I should go back to ship or back to jail. So I hawked my sailor suit, I got a coin to flip, it came up tails, it rhymed with sails, so I made it back to the ship. This is from Bob Dylan's 115th Dream, again, maybe my favorite song. It's about Bob Dylan discovering America as it is now, and he goes through all these like horrible things that American citizens have to go through on a semi-regular basis. And the plot is that the other sailors that have come with him have been thrown in jail. And so he's flipping a coin. Do I leave or do I keep trying to get my friends out of jail? And when he flips the coin to make the decision, it comes up tails. It rhymes with sails. Sails like on a ship, so he gets back in his boat and he sails away. But it also rhymes with jail, so it seems like he's just doing whatever he wants anyway. This might have been the first Bob Dylan song I ever heard, and I remember thinking that. I was in the 5th grade, and I remember thinking like, wait a minute. Number 56, I'll tell you something. Things you've never had, you'll never miss. This is another one from Gonna Change My Way of Thinking. It's a good song, man. It's got some really good short lyrics that are great. And this is one of them. This is a line that is very similar to one we're going to get into in the top 10. But yeah, it's true. It's another optimistic and also cynical lyric. It's about finding the silver lining, I think. Like, yeah, maybe you don't have a lot of things, but if you don't have a lot of things, you'll never miss them. And I think that's something as well that goes to be said about like a character like Scrooge from A Christmas Carol. And not just him, but miserly, greedy, rich characters in general from literary history. Like, the more things you have, the more things you're going to be sad if they go away. So you get paranoid. You get like, everybody's trying to take my stuff. And in my experience, the richer you are, the more you are like that. Anyway, moving on. Number 55. And though the rules of the road have been lodged, it's only people's games that you got to dodge. This is our first lyric from the song It's Alright Ma, I'm Only Bleeding, which personally I think has the highest quantity of really good lyrics, like sort of self-standing lines that are incredible. You're going to be seeing a lot more lyrics from this song as we go forward. But this line in particular is pretty poignant. Like, there are rules to life. We were talking about how like life is a highway. The highway is for gamblers, right? The fast lane. And though the rules of the road are known, they're lodged, we know what the rules of life are. Really the only thing you have to do is dodge other people's games. It's pretty good advice. Number 54. I don't know if I saw you, if I would kiss you or kill you. It probably wouldn't matter to you anyhow. This is another line from Standing in the Doorway. I think Bob Dylan's saddest song? Probably really sad. It's just a sad song. And this line is no exception. Like, I don't know if I saw you what I would do, because I love you, but I also fucking hate you. So I don't know if I'm gonna kiss you or murder you and leave your body in a ditch. It's a little harsh, if you ask me. And the hardest part of the line, though, is that he doesn't even know if she would give a shit about it. Like, whichever one he picks, he's so inconsequential to her that she's not even gonna care. It's brutal. Number 53. You raise up your head and you ask, is this where it is? Somebody points to you and says, it's his. And you say, what's mine? And somebody else says, well, what is? And you say, oh my God, am I here all alone? This is another one from Ballad of a Thin Man that definitely has some inspirations from drugs. I'm just going to say it. It's from drugs. Bob Dylan did a lot of drugs. Maybe he still does. I don't know. But this is another lyric where he is sort of flipping what he's doing on its side. You think you know what's happening. It's a conversation between two people, but in the end, it ends up being a conversation in one man's head. What's interesting, too, is that when he has the thought, am I here all alone? He still says it. You say, oh my God, am I here all alone? Even as he starts to believe that he's by himself, he's still asking the question out loud. Number 52. They're selling postcards of the hanging. This is the first line of Desolation Row. I mean, man, if you don't want to hear more after the first line of the song, I can't help you. Desolation Row is an interesting song because it's super long. It's like 10 minutes long or something like that. If I remember correctly, it was an entire side on the album it was released on. I used to be able to put it on when I would leave my dorm, and it would still be playing by the time I made it to class. And I say that just to point out that the events that occur are a domino effect started by the first line of this song. They're selling postcards of the hanging, which I always thought was incredibly brutal. And this, much like what I said about the song The Hurricane, I remember thinking to myself, man, that's so insane. Good thing that would never happen. Fucking America is insane. Because they actually did do that shortly after the Civil War, and probably before and possibly during. I'm not a historian, but they would sell postcards. As they hung slaves, they would take pictures. There would be a whole event with like families with kids and shit. They'd take a picture and then they would sell these pictures as postcards to people who were at the event. This was like 150 years ago. God damn. Number 51. I once loved a woman, a child, I'm told. I gave her my heart, but she wanted my soul. That's a nice little just fun rhyme. I kind of like that. It's from Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. And this is another one that I personally can relate to, and I feel like a lot of people can. I once loved a woman, a child, I'm told. It's a woman. I loved a woman, but a lot of people said that she was very immature, and I gave her my heart, but she wanted my soul. That's another thing that Dylan does very well. He has a strong distinction between heart and soul. A lot of time, just the phrase heart and soul, we mix the two of them together. I put my heart and soul into it. You know, I give you my heart, I'll give you my soul. To him, they're two different things. I gave her my heart, but she wanted my soul. I don't know, it sounds like a demon to me. Number 50. All these people that you mention, yes, I know them. They're quite lame. I had to rearrange their faces and give them all another name. This is from the last verse of Desolation Row, and it totally changes everything you thought you understood about the song. Throughout the song, the singer's listing a lot of iconic characters. Einstein disguised as Robin Hood, the Phantom of the Opera, the Hunchback of Notre Dame, Cinderella. Characters or people that you've probably heard of. And what you find out at the end is that this was all a letter, and he had to give them all another name so that the person reading the letter wouldn't know who he's talking about. They're all real people. He just disguised them. It's just wild to me how a single line can totally flip what you think is going on in a song. Number 49. I can still hear the sounds of those Methodist bells. I'd taken the cure and had just gotten through. Staying up for days in the Chelsea Hotel, writing Sad-Eyed Lady of the Lowlands for you. This is a beautiful lyric from the song Sarah, off the album Desire. Probably my favorite Bob Dylan album. It's got a lot of good songs on it. This is one of the few times that Bob Dylan references an actual song in the lyrics of a different song. So this is a song about a woman named Sarah. I don't know anything about Bob Dylan's personal life, unfortunately. He was probably with someone named Sarah at the time. Just a wild guess. But he says he wrote Sad-Eyed Lady of the Lowlands for her, which is one of his most popular songs. It's kind of incredible. And he's really breaking the fourth wall, which is something Dylan doesn't usually do. A lot of the times his songs are written from the perspective of specific characters or characters he's made to be facetious, like the lead voice in Talkin' John Birch Paranoid Blues. He doesn't actually believe the communists are coming to kill everybody. He's being facetious. He's creating a character who believes the communists are coming to kill all of us so that he can show how ridiculous that character is. This is about him. He just puts it out there in writing. Yeah, this is about me. I did this for you. It's kind of crazy. Number 48. With all memory and fate driven deep beneath the waves, let me forget about today until tomorrow. We had to get to Mr. Tambourine Man at some point on this list, and here we are. This song is famously about Bob Dylan's drug dealer. I'm not gonna have any hope of monetizing this video, am I? But he's talking about hiding his memories. All memory and fate driven deep beneath the waves. He wants to put his memories away where he can't access them anymore, which, honestly, drugs are a great way to do that. And he says, let me forget about today until tomorrow, until I wake up, until the buzz has worn off. Then I'll deal with it. Or I won't. I'll just call the Tambourine Man again, and we'll just do this cycle all over again. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Number 47. Well, I finally started thinking straight when I ran out of things to investigate. I couldn't imagine nothing else, so now I'm at home, investigating myself. Hope I don't find out anything. That's another one from John Birch Paranoid Blues. Man, it's a good song. Again, about McCarthyism and communism and America's absolute disdain and fear. Terror of communism, of all things. But the lyric itself is about running out of things to look at. He's trying to find communism everywhere. He's saying that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy. Maybe he's a communist. Maybe he is. Check him out. And eventually he runs out of places to point his finger. And he's only got one place left to point it. At himself. Number 46. I try my best to be just like I am, but everybody wants you to be just like them. There's another one from Maggie's Farm, one of his most famous electric songs. This is a lyric that I definitely relate to. You try your best to be who you are, but people don't really want that. We talked earlier about how the flower can't grow higher than the rest of the garden or lower than it, because if it grows lower than it, it doesn't get the sunlight it needs, and if it grows higher than it, the gardener's going to clip it. There's another example of that. You know, take, for example, standardized testing. Not everybody's good at testing, but you have to be, or you're an idiot, I guess. That's what the US says. It's just sad. Number 45. The empty-handed painter from your streets is drawing crazy patterns on your sheets. That's sex. He's talking about sex. This is from It's All Over Now, Baby Blue. Again, one of my favorite songs of Dylan's. And yeah, it's an interesting way. Drawing crazy. He's an empty-handed painter. So he's a painter without a paintbrush. And you're like, oh, well, okay, what's a painter who doesn't have a paintbrush? Well, the crazy patterns he draws are on your sheets. Wowzers. Anyway, I just think that's a creative way to talk about that. Number 44. I lit a cigarette on a parking meter and walked on down the road. It it was a normal day. This is from Talkin' World War III Blues, which we've brought up before. Bob Dylan has a dream that World War III has happened and is over, and he lives in a post-apocalyptic United States. And that's one of the first things he does in the song. He lights a cigarette on a parking meter. He's painting a visual, he's painting the scenery. It's set dressing, essentially, for our brains. You see a different set than I do, but what we both see is Bob Dylan lighting his cigarette on a parking meter that's on fire. And we realize that this is something he has done many, many times. Number 43, forget the dead you've left. They will not follow you. It's a great line. Another one from It's All Over Now, Baby Blue, the title of which follows directly after this line. Forget the dead you've left, they will not follow you, and it's all over now, baby blue. And I love this line. This is something that my mom actually instilled in me when I was young. Not to do anything for the sake of tradition or because you think someone who has passed would want you to do it, or at minimum, not because it has ties to that person. Like, I remember my mom telling me that after she passed, if anything of hers ended up being worth a lot of money, sell it immediately. Just get rid of it. Don't clutter a bunch of stuff because you're sentimental. Just get rid of it. Move on. Figure it out. You have your memories. You still have your love for that person. And as long as you do, they're never truly dead. The stuff doesn't matter. Forget the dead you've left. They will not follow you. You're following them. Time is ticking. We'll get to more lines about that later. Number 42, the answer to life, the universe, and everything. That's not the lyric. I met one man who was wounded in love. I met another man who was wounded with hatred. This is from A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall, which is a fantastic song. It's like only 4 verses long, but each verse is like 3 minutes or some shit. It's really good. It's one of his most popular songs, and I've never understood how he can play it live. It's so insane. But this line specifically is pretty poignant. I have met many people. I fall into this category. Wounded in love, wounded with hate. I mean, who hasn't been, you know? Love is a dangerous tool as much as hate is. It can be used to help people, and it can be used to hurt people. I was going to say the same thing with hate, but I don't think hate can be used to help people. Maybe it can. I don't know. Number 41. Human gods aim for their mark. Make everything from toy guns that spark to flesh-colored Christs that glow in the dark. It's easy to see without looking too far that not much is really sacred. There's another one from It's All Right Ma, I'm Only Bleeding, and whoa, what a line. So let's start picking this apart. It starts with sacrilege, human gods. Whereas if you believe in the whole Christian thing, you believe that there has only ever been one human god, and that is Christ. But these human gods make everything from toy guns that spark to flesh-colored Christs that glow in the dark. And what he's saying there is that the same people who will sell you a toy will sell you something that makes you feel good about religion. And in doing so, they're profiting from that. And then he says it's easy to see that not much is really sacred because people are profiting on the pious, the religious, the spiritual, the divine. The sacred is not what's important to us, but the capital is. Number 40. The sword swallower, he comes up to you, and then he kneels. He crosses himself, and then he clicks his high heels. And without further notice, he asks you how it feels, and he says, "Here is your throat back. Thanks for the loan." There's another one from Ballad of a Thin Man. Absolutely drug-induced in a fever dream of some kind. But the main thing about this lyric is the beginning and the end. It's a sword swallower. He's swallowing swords. He's cutting up his lungs. He's cutting up his neck. He's doing whatever he wants. And then at the end, he gives his throat back to you and says, "Thanks for letting me borrow that." I'm not even really sure what it's about. I don't know if it's about anything, but there's just an interesting metaphor in people taking parts of you, using them, damaging them, and then giving them back when they're done. Number 39. The National Bank at a profit sells roadmaps for the soul to the old folks' home and the college. This is a line from Tombstone Blues, and it's about how banks will sell you literally anything for a profit. And they'll target the most vulnerable people. Old people and young people. And honestly, that tracks! Number 38. They asked me for some collateral, and I pulled down my pants. God bless America. I added that last part. That last part isn't in the line. This is another one from Bob Dylan's 115th Dream. I just love that song so much. And my favorite thing about this line is he goes into a bank to get some money to pay for bail so he can get his friends out of jail, and they ask him for some collateral. In response to that, he drops his pants to the ground. Now here's my question. Does he do that because that's his collateral? Or is he mooning them? Is he showing his butt in front of God and everybody? Is it more of an F you to the bank because they're not going to help him get his friends out of prison when they've done nothing wrong? I don't know which one it is. Honestly, I'm not sure, because the very next thing that happens is the bank throws him out on the street. But it's an interesting question. It's always confused me. I've always wondered that. For the last 15, 20 years, I've always wondered that. Number 37. For them to think death's honesty won't fall upon them naturally, life sometimes must get lonely. This is another one from It's Alright Ma, I'm Only Bleeding, which, as I've said before, I think has probably the strongest lyrics out of any of Dylan's songs. They just are so good. They have a lot of weight to them. There's a lot of metaphor. This is no exception. For them that think death's honesty won't fall upon them naturally. So death is honest. Death is a lot of things. A liar is not one of those things. And he's saying it must be lonely to believe that you will never die. I don't know if that's true. It sounds pretty cool to me. But it's a cool line though. Number 36. People carried signs around saying ban the bums. I jumped right in line saying I hope that I'm not late when I realized I hadn't eaten for 5 days straight. There's another one from Bob Dylan's 115th Dream. Interesting to point out that he is getting in line to get rid of homeless people. I assume that's what he means by bums, or maybe people who take advantage of the government, or I don't know. I don't know how you define a bum specifically. I think it's kind of a general, vague term intentionally. But he's getting in line to ban the bums, which is a play on the phrase ban the bomb. And he realizes he hasn't eaten in 5 days, which one might say could make him a bum. Just throwing it out there. This is a person who's a little hypocritical, I think, in his actions don't meet what he's saying, right? Could also be touching on the idea that so many people go against their best interests politically. They may vote for politicians that don't actually have their best interests in mind, or, whatever it is. We all know those people. Number 35. They whisper in the wings to those condemned to act accordingly and wait for succeeding kings. And I try to harmonize with songs the lonesome sparrow sings. There are no kings inside the gates of Eden. This is from the song Gates of Eden. Great song, one of his earlier ones. Reminds me a lot of Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett. The whole plot, I'm about to ruin this play for you. Sorry in advance. It's 1,000,000 years old. But the whole plot is there are these two guys who have been waiting forever for Godot. There's a widely held belief that these two gentlemen are actually waiting for God. Maybe they're in purgatory or something, but the person they're waiting for, known as Godot, is actually God. I know, it's sneaky. But the point is that the play seems somewhat cyclical, like the end could be the start of the beginning of the play again. It could just go on forever, because this guy never shows up. And so someone here is whispering in the wings to people who are condemned to wait for succeeding kings. And the last line in that verse is, there are no kings inside the gates of Eden. So they're waiting, and they're going to be waiting forever. Sort of Sisyphysian as well, just constantly hoping that something good is going to happen, and it never does. It's kind of sad. Number 34. Even the President of the United States must sometimes have to stand naked. This is from It's Alright Ma, I'm Only Bleeding, and is not about Bill Clinton. But it sounds like it could be. This is kind of reminiscent of the same message in Gotta Serve Somebody that Dylan wrote, where even the president has to be himself. He has to show his true colors at some point. I don't know if that's true, but it's a nice sentiment, and I do agree with it to an extent. I don't know that specifically the president does, but I feel like almost everybody gets to a point where they figure out who they really are, and the walls just have to come down. I feel like we've all been there at some point in our lives. Number 33. I hope that you die and your death will come soon. I'll follow your casket on a pale afternoon. I'll watch while you're lowered down to your deathbed, and I'll stand over your grave till I'm sure that you're dead. This is from the song Masters of War. It's about finding the people who are responsible for putting our kids, our friends, our loved ones at the front of the battlefield in harm's way. The people who are being drafted, forced to serve their country. I mean, they're not anymore, but they were when this was written. And it's literally just Bob Dylan saying, I want to find the people who are responsible for this and fucking murder them. It's wild, dude. He's known for his hey, can't we all get along? The answer's blowing in the wind. The times they are changing, baby. Everything's free. Everything's happening. And this, he's like, except for those people, fuck them. Number 32. How did I meet you? I don't know. A messenger sent me in a tropical storm. This is from the song Sarah. There's a lot of juxtaposition and contradiction and a lot of stuff happening in this very, very small line, which I love. It's easy to pick apart, but it's literally it's 2 lines. How did I meet you? I don't know. So he doesn't remember how he met Sarah. but he does remember that a messenger sent him, which is odd because you generally send a messenger. Messengers aren't usually like, ah, man, I don't want to do my job today. Hey, can you do this? But maybe that's what happened, and he's remembering it, but he also says he doesn't remember. It's a wild thing. That's why it's higher up on this list, because it says a lot in a very short amount of time. Number 31, I'll let you be in my dreams if I can be in yours. This is from Talkin' World War III Blues, a song about Bob Dylan having a dream where World War III has happened and he is in the post-apocalypse. This line comes right after he fumbles over a quote by Abraham Lincoln. It's a very funny line. I think it's meant to be funny, where he says, some of the people can be all right part of the time, part of the people can be all right some of the time, but all the people can't be all right all the time. I think Abraham Lincoln said that. And it's a very funny line. And he covers it with, I'll let you be in my dreams if I can be in yours. I said that. And the point of that is he says everybody thinks of themselves and only themselves. In the song, he has this dream and he goes to a therapist, and the therapist says, wait a minute, I had the same dream, but it wasn't you in my dream. I was the only person left in the world walking around in this post-apocalyptic hellscape. And none of us are envisioning the other people who would inevitably be there. It's just us. We're focused on us. But I'll let you be in my dreams if I can be in yours. Number 30. Goodbye is too good a word, babe. So I'll just say, fare thee well. God, I love that line. That's from the song Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. Goodbye is too good a word to use for you. So I'll say fare thee well, which to me seems like just as good a word. In fact, maybe better. Fare thee well is quite nice, actually, I think. But maybe it's that it's a goodbye. If we're going to like hyper analyze this, he doesn't want to give a goodbye to someone. The song talks about, it's very clearly like a breakup, and it doesn't end well. They're not on good terms. So goodbye's too good a word, babe. So I'll just say fare thee well. On a side note, there's a live version of Ben Lee doing this song, who's an Australian musician, and he gets to this part and extends it and screams out fare thee well, and it is heart-wrenchingly beautiful. But I've always really liked that line. Number 29. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. This is a line from the song Joker Man. Again, another one that is very short but says a lot in a short amount of time. Fools rush in, but angels are afraid to go in there. So, and it's sort of, angels are afraid to go in. So who would go in? Idiots. I mean, it sort of makes sense. It's not super complicated, but fools rush in where angels fear to tread. It's a beautiful line. Number 28. Behind every beautiful thing, there's been some kind of pain. This is another line from Not Dark Yet. It's beautiful, and I believe it's probably true. It's easy to look at supermodels or movie stars and think like, well, their lives are so good, they haven't suffered. But then you read about like Keanu Reeves and how like his first girlfriend died in a car crash, and just horrible stuff that has happened to people. And that's not to say that like other people aren't suffering as well. I'm adding to that and saying other people are suffering as well. In fact, every beautiful thing has some kind of pain. It's just a good line. And it's something that I forget often, that it's easy to look at someone and just write them off as being plastic, or, you don't know what it's like. You're in the bubble. You're in the bubble where everything goes right for you. But that's not true. That bubble doesn't exist. Number 27. I got a head full of ideas that are driving me insane. This is from Maggie's Farm. And I often feel like this, where I have a million ideas and they're all banging around in there, and they don't come out until the idea is done. Until like it's an idea for like a cover song. I'm gonna make a cover song. So I'm thinking I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna have these instruments. I'm gonna do it slow where the original is fast. And that all is up there just until I get it out. And I feel like that's something that everybody kind of relates to. I got a head full of ideas and they're driving me insane. And I'm sure Dylan did. He probably held some kind of record for the most number of albums produced in a lifetime, or he will, maybe. He's got like 80 albums or some shit. It's insane. He's got to be going insane. Number 26. They tell me everything is going to be all right, but I don't know what all right even means. This is from the song Trying to Get to Heaven. It's a beautiful song, and there's something sort of optimistic and cynical about this line, where he says, people keep telling me it's going to be all right, which is nice. Like, that's what you do, right? You tell your friends things are going to be okay, but I don't even know what all right even means. Like, I don't even know what I want from this. So first of all, how do they know that they have the ability to tell me it's going to be all right when I don't even know what all right is? But also, I don't know what I want. It's sort of vague, it's ambiguous, but it's truly relatable on a level that I haven't seen very often in music or entertainment in general. Number 25. I know it looks like I'm moving, but I'm standing still. This is another one from Not Dark Yet. I feel like this all the time. I know it looks like I'm doing a lot, but in my head, it's moving really slowly. And then all of a sudden I wake up and it's been 6 months or whatever. It's so strange how accurately this defines life for me. That I know it looks like I'm moving, but I'm just standing still. I feel like things are happening to me. I don't even feel like I'm doing anything. I feel like stuff is just kind of occurring around me and affecting me. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but damn, I do. Number 24. Alone you stand with nobody near, when a trembling distant voice unclear startles their sleeping ears to hear that somebody thinks they really found you. So nobody's around, but you're hearing a voice that unclear startles your sleeping ears. So your ears are asleep, whatever that means, and a voice comes to you when you're alone. And it says somebody thinks they've really found you. I don't know, man. There's something very sort of scary, but also warm about that, comforting. That, like, it's terrifying to hear someone when you think you're alone. But somebody thinks they really found you. They know you. They've understood you. I love It's All Right, Ma, I'm Only Bleeding. It's so good. It's very rich. Number 23. Freedom just around the corner for you, but with the truth so far off, what good will it do? This is another one from Joker Man, which is a good song. Easy listening. You know, if you don't pay attention to it, you might just sort of bop and you're like, that's a good song, but it's got some good lyrics in it. This is great too. This person, Joker Man, is very close to obtaining his freedom, but with the truth so far away, it's not going to do him any good. I don't know what that specifically means or how I could relate to that, but it's very deep. It's very powerful. It moves me emotionally. Even without fully understanding it, I feel moved. Number 22. I've been all around the world, boys. Now I'm trying to get to heaven before they close the door. This is from the song Trying to Get to Heaven. This is one of the choruses. And man, I just love the motif, the image of trying to get to heaven before they close the door. It's like living life rough and on the edge, and you're just trying to do it before heaven runs out of room, I guess. It's just such an interesting image. Before they close the door. And maybe they're closing the door because they don't like the way we're acting down here. Maybe that's what it is. Eventually they're just going to get sick of us and stop letting us in. Bob Dylan famously rode a motorcycle pretty recklessly around, and even got into a really, really bad accident at one point. I wonder if this is partially inspired by that. Number 21. If my thought dreams could be seen, they'd probably put my head in a guillotine. This is from It's All Right, Ma, I'm Only Bleeding. Again, one of my favorites, one of the best songs he's ever written lyrically. This inspires visions of George Orwell's 1984, where the government was punishing people for what they called thought crimes, where if you thought something that was illegal to think, you got hauled away and no one ever saw you again. And in that way, what Dylan is proposing is that even in our normal world, even in our non-Orwellian normal world, if you saw what I was thinking, you'd cut my fucking head off. And I like that message. Number 20. The sun's not yellow. It's chicken. This is from Tombstone Blues. I don't know what it means, but I've always really liked it. The sun's not yellow. It's chicken. Because yellow means scared, as does chicken. He doesn't use the word scared either time. Which is interesting. He could have said the sun's not yellow, it's scared, but he uses two different metaphors to describe the same thing, which is scared. Yellow, yellow-bellied, it means afraid. Chicken means afraid. What are you, chicken? You know. So the sun's not yellow. It's chicken. I just love that wordplay. Number 19. You don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. That's from Subterranean Homesick Blues, another one of my favorite songs of his. It's another one of those songs that's really compact but says a lot. And I think what this is saying here is you don't need an expert to understand the way that the world is headed. Like, a weatherman can give you a lot of very specific and important details, but he doesn't have to be there to tell you which way the wind is blowing. You can just step outside and figure that out for yourself. And so while experts are important in my own personal opinion, I do think that you can figure a lot of your own stuff out for yourself, you know? Number 18. I mean no harm, nor put fault on anyone that lives in a vault. This is from It's All Right Ma, I'm Only Bleeding, yet again, one of my faves. I mean no harm nor put fault on anyone who lives in a vault. So right out of the gate, he's using a vault as a metaphor for people who shelter themselves and refuse to accept the truth. I mean, it's not a compliment, right? It's a bit of an insult, but he means no harm nor puts fault on those people. But that's what he's doing, right? He's being a little coy there, maybe a little facetious. He's trying to imply that he doesn't mean anything bad by it, but in the same sentence, he's sort of calling them names. I don't know why, but I like that. Number 17. My friends from the prison, they ask unto me, how good does it feel to be free? And I answer them most mysteriously, are birds free from the chains of the skyway? Whew. That's from Ballad in Plain D, which is a gut-wrenching song. It is viscerally told, and it's about a very aggressive, public, and painful breakup. But the very last verse of the entire song, it's very long, and the last verse of the song ends with my friends from the prison. They ask me, it's been so long since I've been incarcerated, what's it like to be out there and be free? And he's saying, I am free, kinda. And he's saying, I'm not free because I don't have the things that I want. Something that I love dearly and I need in order to exist has been taken away from me. So in the same way, I am free. I'm as free as a bird. But are they free from being free? They aren't. I hope it doesn't belittle people who are or have been incarcerated, but I love that allegory. I love how he views freedom. Number 16. You lose yourself. You reappear. You suddenly find you got nothing to fear. This is from It's All Right Ma, I'm Only Bleeding. There's a lot of lyrics from this song in this section. There's another contradiction in this that is interesting. You lose yourself, you reappear. It's almost as though the first line in this, it's broken into 3 individual sentences. The first one practically doesn't matter because as soon as you lose yourself, boom, you reappear. But something has changed within you. Like in that split second between you losing yourself and reappearing, you suddenly find you got nothing to fear. You are fearless. Something has happened in that instance. It's a fantastic visual of immediate change. It gives me hope that if there's something I want to change about myself, I can just do it. Like, how hard could it be? It's just a fucking brain. Just do the right thing, You lose yourself, you reappear, you suddenly find you got nothing to fear. We can do this. We can make it through this. It's very inspirational to me. Number 15. I've been trying to get as far away from myself as I can. This is from the song Things Have Changed, which was written for the movie Wonder Boys. There's something very poetical about trying to remove yourself from yourself. I don't really know what it is, but there's something very romanticized about that. I think there's something very relatable about being able to look at yourself and being like, I don't want to be this anymore. I don't want this. I want to be someone else. I want to get as far away from myself as I can. And it's healthy to feel that way sometimes, as long as you don't feel that way all the time, I think. I mean, I'm not a therapist. I just like how do you even do that? I like that as well. How do you get as far away from yourself as you can? He's trying to. What has he been doing? Has he split himself in half? I don't know. It's an interesting visual. Number 14. 2 riders were approaching. The wind began to howl. This is the last line of All Along the Watchtower. I talked briefly about Waiting for Godot earlier in this list, and it applies to here as well. The Nerd Writer has a great video essay on this song, and in it he promotes the theory that this song is cyclical. And in fact, this line being at the end sounds like a mistake, because 2 riders were approaching, the wind began to howl. That sounds like the beginning of the song, because the Joker and the thief are the 2 main characters. They're the 2 riders who are approaching. So this song feels like it goes on forever and ever and ever for eternity. In fact, the instrumental work sort of accompanies, no pun intended, that theory as well. It sounds like a locomotive that's never going to stop, just going and going and going, and it's just never going to end. These people are in purgatory, and the song continues to play over and over again. Their events continue to loop over and over again. It's a beautiful song with a beautiful ending / beginning. Number 13. A brave man will kill you with a sword. A coward with a kiss. This is from the song Gonna Change My Way of Thinking with Mavis Staples. And man, that is a Beautiful line and totally true. You know, we think of brave men will rush in with a sword. They'll face you head on. Sort of like stabbing you in the back, right? That a real brave person will tell you how they feel in front of you. They'll tell you exactly what they have to say, and they won't stab you in the back. But a coward will put on a mask for you and will pretend to be your best friend and then stab you in the back at the best moment. That's what this is saying. A coward will kill you with a kiss. Number 12. Yes, she's gone like the rainbow that shined yesterday, but now she's home beside me, and I'd like her here to stay. She's a lone, forsaken beauty, and she don't trust anyone. I wish I was there beside her, but I'm not there. I'm gone. This is from a very lesser known song of his called I'm Not There. It's probably a little more well known now because there was a movie named after it about Bob Dylan. I'm Not There, if you haven't seen it, is a pretty fantastic film. It takes different versions of Bob Dylan's psyche and sort of different time periods of his life and has, I believe, 5 different actors, including Cate Blanchett and Richard Gere, and just an all-star cast, Heath Ledger, Christian Bale. It's insane. But it has all these different actors play Bob Dylan in different forms and tell a story. Curiously, it is named after this song. Now, it's interesting to point out as well that in this song, you know, Dylan in his lyrics likes to put contradictions in the same line, right? We've seen that a few times. But this contradicts itself repeatedly. She's gone, like the rainbow that shined yesterday, but now, so she is gone, but also she's home beside me, and I'd like her here to stay. She's alone, forsaken beauty, and she don't trust anyone. I wish I was there beside her, but I'm not there. I'm gone. So like, she's gone, she's here, she's gone, is what these lines say, which is so strange. A lot of this feels like it was not written, but instead improvised. If you listen to it, a lot of the words don't sound like actual words. It sounds like somebody's playing music and he's just sort of making something up on the spot. But it's beautiful, and quite frankly, it's haunting as well if you listen to the song. But I love that lyric. I love the contradiction. Number 11. Stop all this weeping. Swallow your pride. You will not die. It's not poison. This is another line from Tombstone Blues. This is something I have said to people before. Swallow your pride. You won't die. It's not poison. Swallowing your pride, of course, referring to holding yourself accountable, apologizing when you don't think it's your fault, or, you know, it's just putting your own selfish needs aside for someone else or for the greater good. And honestly, a lot of people look at it like it's poison. It is very, very difficult to apologize when you don't think you've done something wrong, but it's so important. You gotta swallow your pride. You will not die. It's not poison. I promise. So does Bob Dylan. You can trust him. Number 10. They'll stone you, and then they'll say you are brave. Absolutely true. This is a line from a song called Rainy Day Women, number 12 and 35. The titles of Dylan's songs are famously totally unrelated to the lyrics in the songs. This is a great example of that. Rainy Day Women, number 12 and 35. The chorus of which just says, everybody must get stoned. Great. Other instances of this are Ballad in Plain D, I Shall Be Free, Subterranean Homesick Blues is a great example. But this line, they'll stone you and then they'll say you're brave. This society, culture, America, the world will beat you down to a bloody pulp. They'll grind your bones and shit you out onto the street. And then they'll say, look how brave that person is for carrying on. Oh, give that person a round of applause. Good for them. Good for them. And then they'll just continue to beat the ever-living shit out of you. It's amazing when you see that sort of thing happen. Stuff like, for example, you see these news articles about children doing a bake sale so that they can pay off their lunch debt for their school cafeteria, Like, you'll see these, they're supposed to be heartwarming. And it's like, look at this gumption on this 8-year-old. Or like they're doing it to like help pay for their classmate's cancer bill, Like, that's not, if that makes you feel good, that's bad. Society will stone you and then applaud you for being brave. 100%. Number 9. I rapped upon a house with a US flag upon display. I said, could you help me out? I got some friends down the way. The man says, get out of here. I'll tear you limb from limb. I said, they refuse Jesus too. He said, You're Not Him. This is from Bob Dylan's 115th Dream, and it is it's such a good lyric. Bob Dylan's 115th Dream, again, probably my favorite Dylan song. And this line totally encapsulates my biggest issue with the US. Gandhi famously said, "I love your Christ. I do not love your Christians. They're so unlike your Christ." And I'm not generalizing. I'm not saying every Christian is like this. And in fact, I'll say the religion isn't what does it. Every religion has total dickheads, right? And they all preach to be great to people. And those total dickheads will continue to say that they believe in that and that they are doing God's work, and they'll be dickheads to everybody. There are lots of very good people who are in any religion, right? I totally accept that. But there's something very satisfying about somebody saying, "No, I'm not going to help you." And then when the other person is like, "Well, what about Jesus?" And the guy's like, "Well, you're not him." I'd help him. I'd help Jesus, because they're focusing on the man and not on the message, right? And I feel like there are a lot of people who follow certain organized religions who have a similar philosophy, that it is about the entity, the God, the Christ, the Buddha, the Muhammad, Yahweh. I'm not a religious scholar, but they feel like it's about these entities and not about the message of doing the right thing, helping your brother, helping your neighbor, right? And this is a perfect way to show that. The imagery in it is so good. The house has a US flag upon display. They're patriotic, they're religious, and they refuse to help someone in need. Incredible. Number 8. It is not he or she or them or it that you belong to. It's another one from It's All Right, Ma, I'm Only Bleeding. And oh, it's good, because it could easily just be, you don't belong to anyone or anything. But instead, it is not he, it is not she, it is not them, and it is not it. You do not belong to literally any. You don't belong to any except yourself. And never forget that. Because it can feel like your boss is in charge of you, your relatives are in charge of you. It can feel like the government is in charge of you, but nobody is in charge of your decisions except for you. You make up your life. You decide what happens in your life. Fuck everything else. Number 7, strike another match, go start anew. And it's all over now, baby blue. This, of course, is from the song It's All Over Now, Baby Blue. It's an interesting line. Again, another bit of a contradiction. Strike another match, go start anew. So you're starting something new, but it's all over now, baby blue. So it's over and you're starting it. An argument could be made that it's over now, so start something new, which is also a very optimistic message, but a cynical message could be there as well, which is that it's all over now. You got to start all over again. So I like that. It's open to interpretation. It's still beautiful. Strike another match. Go start anew. It's all over now, baby blue. Interesting dichotomy of a red match that has been struck, red fire, and also baby blue. I don't know. There's a lot going on in that line, and it's just one short line. Number 6. All the truth in the world adds up to one big lie. This is another one from Things Have Changed, the song written for the movie Wonder Boys, and I love that line. All the truth in the world adds up to one big lie. I don't know if that's true, but if it is, it's part of the truth that adds up to a big lie, so who the fuck knows? It's a cool line, though. Number 5. I bargained for salvation, and she gave me a lethal dose. I offered up my innocence, I got repaid with scorn. This is from the song Shelter from the Storm, which I think is a mostly underrated song of Bob Dylan's. Most of this song is about a woman offering to shelter him from the weather, from acts of God, from nature. It's a woman reaching out a hand and offering salvation, offering help, offering love. And the singer falls in love with this woman very clearly, the way he describes her, and everything seems like it's going pretty great. He's coming in from the storm, he's getting shelter, but then you get to the end and he talks about how she sold his clothes and fucked off, and he bargained. He offered his innocence and he got repaid with scorn. So he put down the chips and he lost. It's a really interesting twist that happens at the end of this song. And it's one that you might not catch the first few times you listen to it. Number 4. How does it feel to be on your own with no direction home? A complete unknown, like a rolling stone. This, of course, is the chorus to probably Dylan's most popular song of all time, Like a Rolling Stone. A song that was so popular that people who hated his electric work, they'd go to see him because he switched from folk to electric. The folk fans would go and they'd boo through all of his electric, and then he would start playing this electric song, and everybody would start cheering. And then it would end and he'd go back to doing the rest of his electric music and they'd go, boo. It's amazing. The zeitgeist around this song and around this man actually in general is incredible. But this is an interesting lyric because this song feels like very similar to Positively 4th Street. It feels like it's a song about tearing somebody down and being like, you don't know how it feels. How does it feel to be on your own? How do you like it? But in reality, it's kind of complimentary. It's kind of hopeful. How does it feel to be on your own, with no direction home, a complete unknown, like a rolling stone? For context, the phrase, a rolling stone gathers no moss, is where that comes from. It's good to be a rolling stone. How does it feel to finally be a rolling stone with no ties? Nobody's grabbing you. Nobody wants anything from you. You're on your own. You have no direction. You can do whatever you want. Nobody knows who you are. No one wants anything from you. You are free. You're a blank slate. You can do whatever you want. It's a very interesting song. Number 3, money doesn't talk, it swears. It's another one from It's Alright Ma, I'm Only Bleeding, and my God, do I relate to that. Oh man. Money doesn't talk, it swears. There's a very common phrase, money talks, but it talks real loud and it's very angry when it does. And the people who understand that money talks, they make sure that it swears. I don't really know how else to literally explain that, but man, I feel it in my heart. And that's why it's so high on this list because, it can be very difficult. Number 2, when you got nothing, you got nothing to lose. It's another one from Like a Rolling Stone, and it is a great line. It's absolutely true. It's something I think about. I'm an actor, and it's something I think about before I go out on stage frequently, that if you go out and you just let it happen, then you won't be upset with whatever happens. And yeah, the more you have, the more you got to lose. It's totally true. There's an optimism buried in the cynicism in this line. This song is about being free to finally be who you are and to do the things you want to do. And you can't do that if you're tied down. For example, you can't just move across the country if you have a house full of objects. When you have nothing, you've got nothing to lose. You can just go. Don't have ties to people, ties to things. You are totally free. It's very Buddhist in that way. It's sort of enlightened. It's a lot of sort of Eastern Buddhist imagery in a lot of Dylan's music. Before we get to the number 1 spot, I want to do a couple honorable mentions. First one is the song Knockin' on Heaven's Door. I really thought it should be in this list, but then I listened to it 5 times and I don't really give a shit about any of the lyrics. It's kind of boring, actually. It was written for the movie Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, which Dylan was in, but it's fine. Take this badge off of me, I can't use it anymore. Long black cloud, something, can't shoot my guns. I'm knocking on heaven's door. It's fine. But I like the song. I do like the song. I don't want to sound like I don't like the song. It's in my playlist. I love listening to it. But actually analyzing the lyrics, I was like, there's really not a lot in here. ISIS is another one that I really wanted to be on this list. Oh man, stop watching this video right now and go listen to that. Go listen to that song and then come back. It is one of the most beautiful songs ever written, but the problem is that it is just a very detailed story. It doesn't really have any metaphor or analogies or allegory. It's just a story about a guy who was in love with a woman and then he decided to go on this insane expedition and he finds out that he was tricked and then he goes back to the woman that he loves. It's a beautiful story. It's horrifying and haunting, and it has a beautiful sweeping violin melody playing in the background behind it. The drums are great. There's guitar that's really good. Everything about it comes together really, really well. And the piano, oh my God, the piano's so good. The last honorable mention is for Last Thoughts on Woody Guthrie. The only reason it's not on this list anywhere is because I felt bad putting it in because it's technically not a song. It's not lyrics. It's a poem. So to put it in here, I just felt like it wouldn't fit what I'm actually doing, you know? It's also not on any real albums. It's just sort of buried in there. But I'd like to read some of the lyrics, and we won't talk about them, but I'll just read them to you and you can appreciate them. And go and listen to the whole thing at some point, because you can probably find it on YouTube or something. It's just a list of, it's 20 pages long or something like that, of him just sort of rambling his thoughts about Woody Guthrie, the man who inspired him to become a musician. So here's some of the lyrics. In this ocean of hours, I'm all the time drinking. Who am I helping? What am I breaking? What am I giving? What am I taking? You need something special to give you hope, but hope's just a word that maybe you said or maybe you heard. And this is my favorite one. You can either go to the church of your choice or you can go to Brooklyn State Hospital. You'll find God in the church of your choice. You'll find Woody Guthrie in Brooklyn State Hospital. And though it's only my opinion, I may be right or wrong. You'll find them both in the Grand Canyon at sundown. It's just beautiful. And now here we are, my number one favorite Bob Dylan lyric. Here we go. Drum roll, please. He not busy being born is busy dying. It's a line from It's Alright Ma, I'm Only Bleeding, which has had like 10 lyrics on this list already, but man, I just love that line. It's simple, it's incredibly simplistic, it's minimalistic in nature. I mean, it's only 8 words, but it says so much. From the day you are born, your life is ending. Do something with it. What are you gonna do? That's the main message of it. But it also, you can look into what he means by busy. You're busy being born, and you're busy dying. It paints a picture of how we are just frantically moving about, buzzing around like little worker bees. We're going to our job, we're going through motions, we're doing the things we have to do, waking up early in the morning, going to bed late. We're worried about that one last report, even though 100 years from now, no one's gonna fucking remember it. He not busy being born is busy dying. So there you go. That is the number one best Bob Dylan lyric. Absolutely objective. Not my opinion, it's just the correct answer. So there. So yeah, this has been the 101 best Bob Dylan lyrics of all time. How did I decide that? It's none of your fucking business. But no, if I'm being honest, the way that I did it is I collected all of the Bob Dylan lyrics that I really, really like. I went through my entire playlist of Bob Dylan music and I just wrote down every single thing I liked, and then I just organized them in the order that I liked them the best. So if there was one that I liked more, I moved it up. If there was one I liked less than another one, I moved it below it. That's it. That's what I did. It's very scientific, I know. So yeah, thanks for watching this video. Don't know why you did. I feel like I'm talking to nobody probably, because this is a very niche video and it's long, and I can't imagine anyone is actually going to volunteer to watch this. So apologies, but if for some godforsaken reason you liked this video, consider checking out our podcast, The Media Lunch Break, and subscribing to our YouTube channel right here and checking out our videos. Thank you so much for watching. This is a passion project of mine that I've been working on for a long time. It's a video I've wanted to make for a very long time, so I really appreciate you checking it out. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.